Labour accused of racism after discussing treatment of a Palestinian man. We're going to read into this more from Open Democracy, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Open Democracy with the headline of Labour are accused of racism after discussing treatment of a Palestinian man. It's been revealed that the party refused to disclose what personal information it had on an ex-supporter whose mother was killed in Gaza. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share us across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, this is quite strong accusations, obviously, to make of the Labour Party. I do want to be clear that this was a freedom of information investigation by Open Democracy as well. Obviously anything like this is obviously incredibly damning. We know obviously where the Conservatives lie, and they belong in the ditch where they belong. The sooner we want them gone, the better. But we also, like myself and many people who are subscribers to the channel, have been incredibly skeptical of the Labour Party. Many people don't trust them in any way, shape or form, and I am incredibly skeptical about some of the things as well. But as soon as I saw this story, I felt obligated to cover it. Now, how much truth is in this? I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I don't know as of right now, and I think we should take what this person's story is on board, and decide whether or not we think we should believe it or not. I also know I have many Labour supporters, followers of the channel as well. But we have to remember that the Labour and the way they have... It's important to remember that when the horrific attack by Hamas on October the 7th occurred, and the atrocities that occurred by the Israel Defence Force, and the way that they were switching off water and supplies and whatnot, Labour really didn't paint itself in a very good picture at that time. And yes, I'm not going to take and yes, you can argue about where Labour's position are right now, but it doesn't change the fact that they was defending Israel's right to defend itself and not condemning Israel for the atrocities that is causing within the Gaza Strip. Let's be very clear about that. And they still haven't really done that. So it's understandable why so many people, some in Muslim communities and others, are choosing not to vote Labour based on this. And it is down to Keir Starmer and Labour Party to show that they are more just as much in solidarity with Palestinian people than just as much as the Israeli people who suffered at the hands of Hamas as well. So let's read into this story, you guys. So, Labour has been accused of disgusting behaviour towards a Palestinian man who lost his family in Gaza after refusing to reveal what information the party had gathered on him. Police dragged Nagel Niger out of Labour fundraising event attended by the party's deputy leader Angela Rayner back in January, after he held up a picture of his late mother and told the audience, "I lost my family in Gaza. I want to show you my mum." Niger, who campaigned for Labour in 2019, later submitted a subject access request (SAR) to the party, asking it to disclose any personal information they had collected about him, a legal right for any individual under UK data protection laws. But Labour has now rejected his request with a letter that appears to suggest he is not acting in good faith. Now, I don't... while I understand, just first and foremost, obviously here, I don't like the fact that he was dragged out of a Labour fundraising event, but I also want to make it clear that if he was disruptive, I think I know the person, if I'm right, that there was someone disrupted Angela Rayner at a speech at an event, and I'm going to assume this is the guy that we are talking about here. And while I totally understand his position, I do understand his position. You know, this is not the way to go about it. Sorry, it's just not. Now, having said that, him making a subject access request, and obviously he should have a right to do that because it's, you know, personal information is given to Labour. I don't know what's Labour's reasons for not giving it. Suggesting he's not acting in good faith. Why not? What's my simple question to Labour Party is, what's the issue here? What's the issue here? There should be no issue here. If you're basically kicking him out, what's the issue of giving him his personal information that you have on him? Is my simple question. So an email from the party seen by Open Democracy said this as SAR is manifestly unfounded. Official legal guidance explains this term may refer to people who are not serious about exercising their legal rights. Such requests may be malicious, sent by people who are trying to harass an organisation with no real purpose other than to cause disruption, the guidance said. What? Someone needs to explain to me, how is he causing disruption by making this request? I don't see that. That doesn't add up to me. The news comes as Open Democracy investigation reveals how the party has continuously flouted data protection laws, sparking an active inquiry by the official watchdog. A legal expert today said there was no justification ever for Labour's persistent failures, adding it's even more concerning given that we are in an election year. Nida has filed a complaint about his case that says the unfair way he has been treated means he will stop campaigning for the party. Labour are playing the role of the victim, but this is not right, he said. I'm frustrated with it. Even when I just want to ask about my rights, I'm being dismissed. Yeah, on this front, I agree with him. Like, I don't understand what the reason is to not on this at all. Mish Graham, a member of Labour's ruling National Executive Committee, told Open Democracy that it was beyond disgusting that Labour's leadership had treated a Palestinian man with such contempt. His family had perished in Gaza during Israel's genocide, and he deserves some respect. This is part of a consistent pattern of behaviour by Starmer-led Labour of treating Palestinians, Muslims and people of colour with hostility. Labour are burning bridges in ethnic minority communities right across the country, and until Starmer acknowledges his faction on the Labour's right have a problem with racism, the situation will get worse. Nida told Open Democracy that 5 members of his immediate family, including his mother, have been killed since Israel launched its catastrophic attack on Gaza after Hamas killed more than 1,100 Israelis on October the 7th. At least 34,000 Palestinians have been killed in the past 7 months. I've also lost more than 100 other relatives like aunties, uncles and cousins. Nida said, I have no friends in Gaza. All of the ones who are my age have been injured or killed. Until recently, Naga's 10-month-old daughter was trapped in Gaza, where she had been rescued from under the rubble 3 times. The British government failed to help rescue the baby, despite having the right to live in the UK. Naga said, with Egyptian authorities eventually stepping in to evacuate her. Desperate for help from British politicians, Naga said he hoped to appeal to Angela Rayner, who he had met previously to take action on Gaza, but was instead dismissed and dragged away. I know Angela personally, and when she voted against the ceasefire, I couldn't believe it. How do you know Angela Rayner personally? Hope to appeal to Angela Rayner. What? But the thing is, what in this situation? Like in this situation, like here's the thing. In this situation, what can she do? She's not in government, and she can't blatantly attack Israel because of where Labour's stance are. And I get, I understand his frustration. I really, really do. But I don't know how this was going to make a difference. I really understand his frustration. I really do, guys. But I just don't know how this was going to be. And him saying here he knows Angela personally. Okay. And when she voted against the ceasefire, I couldn't believe it, he said. I wanted to go there with my family photo to try and touch the hearts and change their positions to make the ceasefire happen. But Labour are not in power. I thought she'd say, I'm really sorry for your loss, we'll promise to do our best, but instead she responded like I was threatening them with a weapon. I couldn't believe it. Like, here's the thing. Like, this statement right here, guys. I mean this. I really mean this. I'm genuinely sorry for what he's going through, and myself and like everybody else here wants a ceasefire. But Labour are not in power. They're not in power, and this stunt of his, even if she had did what he asked to, it wouldn't change anything that's happening over there. That's the reality. That is the sheer reality. Making that stunt, he obviously wasn't thinking straight. I'm sorry, but he should not have pulled this stunt. It was a stupid decision by him. Because if he had any brain, he would know that Labour can't do anything. Even if, yeah, we all wanted Labour to condemn Israel, the Israeli government, and the idea for the atrocities they're doing. Even if we wanted to flat out say it publicly and openly, like even if they did, right, they still couldn't do anything because they're not in government. They're the opposition. And that's the reality. And I get the moral high ground aspect. I really do. I get the moral high ground aspect. And yes, Labour should be taking a more high ground on this situation. But this here, I'm sorry. I mean, he should not have pulled this stunt off. For about 2 weeks afterwards, I couldn't leave the house. I was just crying. I received a lot of messages of solidarity from the community and members of the public. But at the same time, I just lost hope in our leaders. I get that. But I get that. I really do. But what Labour, what the hell are Labour supposed to do? Like, honestly. I want to show them I'm one of you. I belong to you. I'm a part of you. I'm a human being. I'm sensitive about my family. And I would like to ask what would be your reaction if you were to losing your family like me. If I was in your shoes, and if I had suffered the same thing, I would not be doing it at Labour unless they were in power. I would pull the same stunt if Labour were in power, but they're not in power. I would try to do it in front of the Conservatives. I would try if they were in power to try and make my voice heard. But I don't see the benefit of doing this in front of an opposition. Nida said that if he had not been dragged off by stage by the police, he would have told Ranger that he'd been deeply grieving for weeks, adding, "I can't eat, I can't sleep, I'm frustrated, I'm dying since I lost my family. Why are you not voting for a ceasefire? And are you ready to vote for a ceasefire next time?" Yeah, I understand the ceasefire vote. Yeah, Labour's position on ceasefire was, you know, because of the certain wordings of it, yeah, was absolute nonsense. I know, but the UK is my second home, and I love the UK. I love the people in the UK, but they are my own people. But the government is complicit in a genocide. Yes, we are fully aware the government is complicit in genocide. The SNP's Philippa Whitford, who has previously served as a doctor in Gaza, said that Labour was treating Niger without respect by ejecting him from the event in January without holding his and then withholding his SAR. He should have been given his SAR. Right, I'll be very clear about that. Dallo has been seen as a troublemaker rather than a human being who lost his family in horrendous circumstances, he said. Underlying all of this is that Labour has a major issue with what's happening in Gaza. They are utterly on the wrong side of history, and they are not where their supporters are expecting them to be. They have literally been defending the indefensible. Labour's rejection of Niger's SAM comes as the party is under close scrutiny after repeatedly falling foul of data protection legislation. Open Democracy can reveal that the Information Commissioner Office, the ICO, has opened an investigation into the party's handling of personal data requests. The watchdog dealt with nearly 400 complaints against Labour in the 2 years to November 2023 that relates to data protection legislation, including SARs. This compares to 22 complaints made about the Conservative Party on that same period and just 5 against the Green Party. Correspondence seen by Open Democracy from that time period shows that the ICO will be monitoring their progress to ensure that the Labour Party imposes its data protection practices. The letter confirms that Labour has not complied with its obligations under the data protection legislation. Several individuals who submitted SARs to the Labour Party told Open Democracy that their requests had been ignored for weeks and then rejected for spurious reasons or providing with key documents missing. Out of 337 data protection complaints, the ICO recorded legal infringement in 70% of cases. A further 12% had potential infringements. Records suggested that Labour's data failings are long-standing. An ICO letter to the complainant as far back as August of 2018 said the ICO currently has concerns about Labour's handling of SARs generally, adding that we are in communication with Labour in this regard and we are considering what further action may be necessary in order to improve Labour's practices. Spokesperson for the watchdog confirmed that there was an open investigation into the party's overall handling of information requests, saying the ICO is continuing to engage with the Labour Party on its handling of SARs. Ravi Narkot, a legal director of AWO, said there's a lot of talk from the Labour Party about their commitments to integrity and the rule of law, but these stats suggest the party is not adhering to basic data protection laws. This lack of openness of how they use data is even more concerning given that we are in an election year. People need to understand how their data is being used because it has a real impact on their lives. The use of data also increasingly impacts the way democracy is run. These are fundamental rights which should, in practice, be easy for the Labour Party to respect. There seems to be no justification for failing to access requests. Earlier this month, an Open Democracy report revealed widespread abuse of data protection laws by public authorities and other organisations in the UK. People requesting copies of their private information, such as police or immigration records, have faced long delays or have had their requests ignored entirely. Others have been given folders with key documents missing. This is having a knock-on effect in the justice system, with lawyers telling Open Democracy that asylum applications and claims for false imprisonment would have been on hold due to the delays. Victims of the Windwest scandal have also struggled with obtaining copies of their immigration papers in order to claim compensation. There are parts of this where I'm in agreement with him, and there are parts of it where I vehemently disagree with him. His stunt at a Labour event is not the way of the handling it. I totally and completely understand his compassion, his upsetness, and I'm totally in agreement that he should be given his SAR. I totally have no quarrels with those at all. With that, he should have been given his SAR request. There's no excuses for Labour not to hold that. However, him going after Angela Rayner and pulling off that stunt doesn't change anything that's happening in Gaza. Doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. Now, if this was, let's just say, if this was the Conservative, if this was a Conservative member, if this was a Conservative person who was in the exact same shoes and pulling off this stunt, it would be a different story because the government actually has the power to do more. And yes, I totally am in agreement with him about Labour Party and how they, with regards to a ceasefire. And now they have stated that they do want a ceasefire, and obviously there's complications about the bloody wording, which should not be this issue, but there is that issue, which is ridiculous if I'm honest. But because they're so scared of upsetting, Israel, aren't they? Because the reality is, guys, is that they're going to have some kind of they're going to have cooperation with the Israeli government if they come to power. Labour. I know. It's annoying. It's BS. I get it. I get where he stands. But there are things that he did was wrong, in my opinion. But Labour are very much in the wrong of how they are treating him in terms of his situation of treating the SAR. And there should have been... And obviously, he didn't say in this report like whether he's had private conversations with him. He's saying he knows Angela personally. Well, what conversations did you have with Angela personally? Exactly. If you know her personally, why did you not add that to the to this report? So there are a bit of giving and a bit of there's a bit of understanding from him and a bit of questions about Labour. So that's kind of where I kind of sit on this one here, guys. But what do you guys make of this story? What do you guys make of this Labour being accused of racism, the way they've treated this man? Do you think there are some valid points that I've made about how he's approached this situation. Is it true? Do you agree with me that Labour aren't really in the power or in a situation to be able to do this? What are you guys' thoughts about all of this and more? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.